If you're wanting a bookshelf but don't have the room to go outside of the wall, inside of the wall is always an option. I'm going to show you how I built this one as well as this one. The first question you might have is why go on the wall at all? In my loft build, one area is above a staircase that leads to a skylight that turns into a balcony. So something hanging off the wall would interfere with me walking up the stairs. Then over here on the right of the loft, I incorporated in a giant drawer that would run into something hanging on the wall. So it came down to either me wasting the space and leaving it bare or going inside of the wall. Now keep in mind that what is behind your wall matters. Mine is attic space, meaning I can make these as deep as I want. However, most walls will have a limit of roughly 3.5 inches of usable space. I show an example of this in my past video where I put a cubby and a bathroom above a tub. So check that one out if you have a shallow working space. Either way, in general, the process is the same. So let's build one. The first thing you need to do is find your studs and see if they're 16 inches or 24 inches apart. Then you can start building a box to fit inside. Now I own a CNC shop, so I had my shop savers cut all of my parts. However, this can easily be done at a table saw as well. I popped it all together with wood glue and an 18 gauge brad nailer. Slipped in the back. In this case, I left it as bare wood, but you could give it a color to make it pop instead. Then there is a completed box that fits easily in between my studs. Note, you do not have to make your life complicated. Don't make your box the exact width of your stud opening. As an example, if your opening is 23.25, make it 22.25. This will ensure that you don't have to fight with it when it comes time to put it in. Now the face frame is actually what holds the unit in place. So after the box is built, I add the face frame. I'm going with a thinner look, but you could go chunky if you prefer. Since my body is built from white oak plywood, I'm using solid white oak for the frame. Again, using a bit of wood glue and an 18 gauge to pop it on. On this, the insides are flush with the box, which will create that overhang that will eventually grab onto the wall and not allow it to fall inside the space. I'm using a drywall knife here because it's low on dust, but you could speed things up by using a multi-tool or a Sawzall. The idea is to cut an opening the exact size of your box you just made. I recommend using a level to draw pencil marks to follow, then test fit the box and make adjustments from there. Remember, you have wiggle room, so don't feel like you have to be 100% perfect. The trim is going to cover up the seam. Don't fall off the loft. Oh my goodness, my day is made. Woo! Dang, that's cool. Heck yeah. Once it's in place, I used a nailer to attach it to the stud. I also went to the inside of my attic and used some spray foam to go around the entire perimeter to make an air seal. However, if you don't have access to the back side, you could also run a line of caulking around the front. Now that is a really straightforward one just to get across the concept and how you do it, but let your imagination run wild. Such as in my loft. I was left with a weird triangle shape. So heck, let's build a weird triangle cabinet. It is an identical process. Find the studs, then build boxes to fit in between them. You don't have to just stick with one stud bay either. You can carry it over to the next, and the next, and the next. It also doesn't have to be a square box. Here, I'm running the tops into the slope of my ceiling. So I made the top of my boxes follow that slope. But building the box is two sides attached to the bottom, slipping in a back, and then attaching a top, in this case at a slope. I always do a dry test fit because being dyslexic, my brain does not like directional things. I'm gonna put this in last. All right, so now I can just apply glue and put this one together. Once I got to the 2 larger triangle boxes, I could add in shelves. I am gluing these in, but you could also make them adjustable instead. I personally thought this was so fun to make. It's just so out of the ordinary. So now I'm gonna do the exact same process, but this is gonna be larger. And if I wanted to, I could go all the way up my wall with this, because I'm just going inside each one of the cavities, and then I'm building a custom cabinet to take up what space I have available. Okay, here's where the process changes between the straightforward one and this one. It's adding on the face frame. So these are positioned to where the bottom is in line with one another, then this top angle is in line with one another, and then this gap is the gap needed in order to, so I can't move it. The gap in between is the thickness of my studs plus some. Again, I don't want to be fighting the install, so everything has some wiggle room. I start off by attaching the perimeter framing, but I temporarily attach scraps to hold the spacing of the cabinets in place, just to make sure I didn't move things. But then I removed them to attach the permanent trim. Okay, for scenarios like this where you're kind of boxed in, you can take a combination square in order to project this line up. So, like this, that looks good. And then over here, that looks good. Get it where it needs to go. And then use a box blade instead of a pencil in order to make your mark. I love marking in place instead of measuring, but inside spaces like this can be tricky. A combo square and a utility knife are great tools for this job. A combo square will allow you to project lines to your material, and then a utility knife is so much more accurate than a thick leaded pencil. Now we can putty finish and see if I can cut a hole for it to go on the wall. Let's cut more holes in my house! Actually, let's protect my staircase before making a huge mess. Here I'm using a product called Ramboard Stair Armor, which is designed specially for stairs. They are non-slip, protect against liquids, and have creases, so laying them down is quick and easy. As you can see, the flat part of my loft is already protected by normal Ramboard. A tip for whenever you're going to be cutting into your wall, obviously you can use a stud finder in order to get the general sense on where it is, but then in order to get it really, really precisely figured out, you can get a 15 gauge brad nail. In my case, that's what I use. And then you can punch a little hole so you can see that's not the stud, and then just a little bit over, there's the stud right there. So then my pencil line is right in between it. So this is a really good way in order to make lots of little tests before actually cutting into it. Again, the idea is to measure the body of the box as made, then cut a hole to match. Since I'm going into 3 different stud bays, I'm making 3 individual holes. This one is tricky, so it took a few tries. Remember, you can always remove material, but it's difficult to put it back. Oh, hey, Jacob. I keep Jacob in my attic. Don't tell anybody. Now let's see if that cabinet fits in this hole. Okay, I need to shave off a little bit right there. Hey Jake, it might be helpful if you go in the attic, because I can't tell if this left lip is actually on the left side of this or not. But I think I'm snagging in this bottom left corner. Okay, I'm gonna push it. Ah! Tell me that's not freaking awesome. That is freaking awesome. Yeah, I don't even need someone to tell me it's freaking awesome. I know it is. Dude, we do such cool stuff. I love that, Jacob. Oh, I love it. That is a cool thing. That worked out so well. Ooh, it's amazing what you can do with a tape measure. Be all accurate and precise. Dude, it's so cool. The next thing will be a cabinet here, a cabinet there, but dang, have we come a long ways. Hope you guys are enjoying the series so far.